the years, we have gotten several questions from members wanting to know what is compliance. When someone says they are compliant, what does that actually mean?
You want my first thought on it?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, we're compliant. It's the most overly used word in the entire internet industry. And I can guarantee you, what the word's supposed to mean is not how they're using it. So what is compliance? Okay, that's a great question. Compliance is a 3-step process, okay? Easy, right? You might need more coffee after this.
I might.
Okay. Compliance is figuring out what laws apply to my business. What laws apply to my business? Now, if I have absolutely no idea what laws apply to my business, I'll give you a real good hint where to look. All of your contracts. Because all of your contracts say, and we will comply with, and it will list off a whole bunch of laws. Let me tell you something, that's not in there because, an attorney felt like you need to make an extra $50. It's in there because they're telling you those are the laws that apply to us and therefore apply to you. Now, some of that is true and some of it isn't. They throw every law in the book in there. That's not really helpful. But if you look at your contracts, it'll say, well, let's take email marketing, for example. It'll say the CAN-SPAM Act, the California Business and Professions Code, California Consumer Privacy Act. If you're doing email marketing, for example, for mortgage or short-term lending, it will give you a whole list of federal finance laws that you have to comply with. So that's where you start. You look at those laws, you go, okay, these are the laws I have to comply with. That's the first part of compliance, is knowing what am I supposed to comply with. The next step is putting policies into place that say, this is how the law applies to me, and this is how the business, am going to comply with that law.
Would those be written policies or just verbal?
Nope, those are written policies. Okay? So the governing board, or if you're small, the managers, or the manager, or the owners of the company, then decide, basically, we understand these are the laws we have to comply with. We created policies to say this is how we're going to comply with it. And the third part is taking those policies and now creating procedures. So the procedures are, our advertising must comply with these 5 regulations. If we're doing email marketing, we must have these 6 things in the email. You're taking a very complex law, you're breaking it down so the company understands what they have to do to comply with that law, and then you're going to break it down even further to email managers. If you're going to bring a publisher on, here's a publisher vetting program. We want to know where is their data coming from, how are they obtaining their IPs, are they using an ESP, do they have a good relationship and a good reputation, have they ever been sued, have they ever been the subject of an enforcement investigation or action. Do they appear on a block list? Have they ever appeared on a block list? I'll tell you right now, if nobody's ever appeared on a block list, they haven't done much email marketing. But, that's my personal belief. Block lists don't bother me. Did they hit, Fan House's Roxo? Yeah, that would bother me. I'd like to know how they got on it. And if they're still on it, I probably would not allow them on my systems because it's a risk. Do I think the person did anything horribly wrong? I don't know. But I know if I associate with them now, I have a very large block list looking at me, so I may not allow that. Email marketers, okay? If I'm doing internal email marketing, here's the 6 things you have to have. You have to have the sender and the from line. If the sender is also the mailer, you don't have to openly register that mailing domain. If it's not, that mailing domain has to be open. Also, not only is that the law, but my contracts call for a mailing domain to be openly registered, so it can be viewed from who is online. I want to know the subject lines. You can't, email marketer, I'm going to give you subject lines, you're not going to change them. You're not going to change the creative, you're going to ensure the creative goes in just as I give it to you. You're going to add a suppression link that I'm going to give to you, and you're going to add a postal address that I'm going to give to you. Now I know I'm CAN-SPAM compliant. Now, if on the other hand I'm getting in an advertiser and they say, oh yeah, we want to do email marketing. Right, but we don't want our name to appear in the front line. Wrong. Why? Because I know the CAN-SPAM Act requires it. Now, there's ways to get around that. But right now I need to educate that advertiser. Do you understand what Ken Spam is? And they say, oh yes, it's your law. Oh wrong, it's our law. You see how it goes?
You're right.
So then what I do is, now I know the law applies, the policies tell me how I'm going to comply with it, you know. We're going to create a vetting program for affiliates. We're going to create a review program for all advertising coming in. We're going to create a review program or a seed program to ensure that publishers that we've already vetted, we know they're good people, are doing and not making mistakes with those advertisers that we also now know are doing well because we've reviewed what they've given to us. None of that makes you responsible for any of it unless you don't do it. But if you do it and a mistake has happened, or for some reason an advertiser goes south on you or a publisher goes south on you, you can actually take that fine and reduce it from $1,000 to $100 or less. So, and that is in every statute that imposes a fine, including the CCPA, believe it or not. You can reduce that by having a program, policy, procedure in place, a program in place that says I did everything I could to stay compliant, and somebody made a big mistake and it wasn't me.
Does that even include training your employees? Would that be encompassing in compliance?
Absolutely, it's encompassed. Absolutely. And it's absolutely part of the Can-Spam Act. It's also part of the California Consumer Privacy Act and the California Consumer Rights Act. Both contain that you must train your employees as to what is compliant with respect to employees that are handling various parts of your marketing program. So if you're doing a CCPA program, you must train the people who touch the data. You know, this is the rights that the California consumers have, and this is what we can and can't do. And with marketing, you want to train your whole company, because you'll be amazed. Somebody will see something online or they'll hear about it. You know, I swear internet marketing is like being in high school again. There's a rumor over here that's a little bit true, and by the time it hits the left side of the building, you know it's now you're evil, right? So you want to have eyes and ears on everything you do, and not make your employees afraid to come talk to you. You know, they come in and talk to you, oh my God, I think we have a huge problem. No, it's not a huge problem, but it was a good catch.
Right.
And thank you for giving it to us. And you have to, you know, when you talk, we talk a lot about building a community of legal compliance, or a compliant community. That's what we're talking about. Everybody keeps eyes and ears out for everybody else. Because there are some very large monsters out there that are looking for all of you. And they'll take one of you down as an excuse to go look at the rest of you. So you've always got to keep that in mind. I would want everybody in my company to know what we should be doing, and to have an open door policy of come talk to me if you find out we're not doing that.
Right.
Now, as a business owner, I might make a decision, I'm going to take a risk on this campaign, or I'm going to take a risk on that publisher. That doesn't mean I will chastise an employee that comes in and talks to me about it. I'm going to tell them, I understand he's on the edge, but I'm going to take that risk. So keep your eyes and ears open. If you see any flames coming out of that, let me know. So with that training, yeah, I would say training in everything. So again, but getting back to your original question, because wow, we just went squirrel again. What is compliance? When somebody says I'm compliant, you should be able to ask them what laws apply to you, what are your policies pertaining to that law, and then number 3, do you have written procedures to enforce your policies, to abide by that law? It's a 3-step process.
Gotcha. And then you would also incorporate the vetting program so that the people that you work with, you could say, make sure that they're doing the compliant things as well. I know you touched on it a little bit.
Well, you definitely want to have some sort of vetting program. And the vetting program is where you sit down and you say, okay, what part of my business are these people, am I handing off what legal compliance to? Mm-hmm. So if it's an email marketer, there's various areas of risk for me. There's risk in what data they're using. There's risk in what IPs or ESPs they're using. There's risk that, is it automated, or could there be a potential for a personnel mistake? You know, people make mistakes. Believe it or not, machines make mistakes. You remember we had one company that got their autoresponder stuck, and they were sending people hundreds and hundreds of spam. Just flat out spam And they're like, oh, it was a mistake. Oh, well, that's good. We're not looking at, a $20,000 California Business and Professionals Code violation. So machines make mistakes, people make mistakes. And that's an acceptable risk in any business. You want to have a policy and a procedure that says, we told them not to do it, we watched for it, and when we caught it, we stopped it right away. So we are enforcing our policies.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for listening for our 10-minute talk today. And if you have any questions, please email them to info@clickclaw.com and we will record a 10-minute talk for you. And don't worry, we will leave your name and your company out of the questions. Thank you.